All right, who's going to kick us off? Brian Haydad, go ahead.
You're muted.
You're muted, Brian.
Sorry about that, Coach.
No problem.
I can just see what I see, but I thought it was a pretty impressive performance by your defense on Saturday night. Did you feel like you made a good jump from week 1 to week 2?
With the usual game, right? You did some good things. Did a nice job there. Particularly in the fourth quarter, getting off the field, getting third down stops, and forcing punts. Got a turnover in there, but obviously there were some mistakes that cost us points. Some busted coverages, and I didn't think we tackled particularly well. I thought there was way too many yards after contact, broken tackles. I can think of a few specifically on third down that you get the ball thrown out to the flat, and if you can make a tackle, it's fourth down, it's a punt. Instead, we missed tackle. It's a first down, and now that drive continues all the way down to the goal line. The guys did a nice job of getting a fourth down stop there right at the goal line, causing a fumble, Marquise Spencer. But that's a lot of yards and a lot of field position that wouldn't have happened if we would have just tackled better. So still plenty of things to get a whole lot better at, and we're going to need to, because facing a team who's coming off a 400-yard rushing performance who, it's a toughness game with them, right? They're going to come right at you and see how well you defend the run, and then the quarterback, Wilson, is he a dynamic player. He can run it, he can throw it. If the pocket breaks down, he can hurt you bad with his legs in a scramble situation. So he's one heck of a player.
All right, we'll go to Robbie Falk.
Hey, Zach, up front on the defensive line, there just wasn't a ton of reps from the past few years outside of Marquise, and Jaden Crumedy played a little bit last year. Kobe's played a lot, but those guys haven't been in some major roles, a lot of them, for most of their careers. How would you assess how that group's played in the first few games? They've gotten in the backfield, made some plays, and they've had to play reps that they haven't had to play before. How would you kind of assess how they've done so far?
They've done a nice job. Obviously they're our most veteran group. Particularly talk about Marquise, Kobe there. Crumedy and Pick. They're obviously young guys, but they do got SEC reps under their belt from last year. So, I've said that several times. We need that group to be our most dominant group. Most good defenses have disruptive defensive lines, front seven. So we need them to play good. They've done a nice job. Obviously, first and foremost, credit goes to them. They've put in the time to learn their assignments and put in the physical work, get themselves prepared to play. But then on top of that, it goes to Coach Phelps, because he's the one in there day to day with those guys, putting in all the assignment work and getting them ready to play. So hats off to the players and Coach Phelps.
We'll go to Ben Portnoy.
Zach, I think it was Nate and Kobe were talking about this yesterday, that your system is a little bit more of a gap scheme versus kind of the man scheme that they ran last year. I guess, can you just explain just a little bit about what the difference between the two is? And I guess what they were saying is it gives them a little bit more freedom. I don't know if there's anything to be said there, but that's kind of is there any sort of, can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I actually think there's more similarities than people think about from the defensive coach Shoop runs and what we do. A lot of carryover on some calls. We do obviously stunt a little bit more than most defenses. A lot of teams will move directionally, slant, angle, two or away from the tight end. We might twist them a little bit more than the average team, but we're not believers here in what's typically referred to as kind of gap control, right? You're responsible for one gap and you play it. We're a little bit more. We send you a direction. You got specific reactions based off of what the offense might do, and we want to cause disruption. And it's the guys behind you job to fill where needed and make you right. So in that regard, yes, we try to cut those front guys loose a little bit and hopefully get in the backfield, get penetration, and screw up some plays. But there's positive and negatives to everything. If you're moving guys a whole bunch, sometimes they get washed, or if they go the wrong way, obviously that's a real problem. And so, there's times where you got to mix in some more gap control, traditional schemes, depending on what the offense is giving you.
We will go back to Brian Haydad.
Coach, you hit on it a second ago with Kentucky, 400 yards plus rushing last week, 3 different guys over 100 yards. Was that just a situation where they were just being more physical than Ole Miss was, or were they doing things schematically that were giving them an advantage?
Oh, I mean, anytime you rush for 400 yards, you were physical up front. I mean, they got a. You look at that depth chart. I mean, it's impressive, right? It's senior, junior, senior, sophomore, senior, junior. That's a veteran football team who's been in that program for multiple years. They know their philosophy. They know exactly who they are, and they buy into it. I mean, they know the winning formula, right? We're gonna run the ball. We got a really athletic quarterback who can run it, pass it really well. Establish the run, play action, pass you. So, I mean, they did a really nice job, and they got a great offensive staff who has really good schemes, who plays their guys' strengths. You're getting zone run schemes. You're getting gap schemes. Power plays, counter plays for both the running back and the quarterback. Right? You tie the safeties down into the box and play, zero coverage. They got dynamic skill guys outside who can beat you through the air. And so, I mean, that's how good offenses work. They got good schemes, but the players know the scheme inside out, and they buy into it, and then they're physical doing it.
Next, we'll go to Tyler Horka.
Zach, don't want to harp on that Arkansas game too much, but you mentioned the busted coverages. Was that you just chalked that up to inexperience, or when you went back and looked at those plays specifically, what'd you see?
No, I chalk that up to not executing the coverage right. I mean, that's mistakes happen. Obviously, you hate when they lead to touchdowns, but it don't matter if it's a veteran guy or a rookie, right? A bust is a bust. It doesn't matter. The trouble for secondary guys is, and I'm gonna defend those guys a little bit, is you get busts happen up front, and if another guy defeats his man in a pass rush or something, right, or another guy penetrates and prevents the run from hitting where a bust happened, sometimes it doesn't go as noticed. It's tough to play in the secondary nowadays because a lot of times your busts are out there in the open for everyone to see, so everyone thinks it's only you guys back there making the bust. There's busts that happen at every level of defense, on every defense in the country. It's not the most enjoyable time to be a secondary guys. You got to have a mentality that, all right, that one's done, let's go get the next one. And our guys have done a good job of that. Play the next play. That's coach's philosophy. It's a great philosophy for defense.